some of y'all are not going to like this take, but it is the reality of it. Buddy Ryan was an overrated head coach, especially amongst all the all-time Philadelphia Eagles head coaches. The dude's overrated. Let's break it down. Now, with the Philadelphia Eagles, he was there 1986 to 1990. And they had one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, with Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Wes Hopkins, Eric Allen, all in that company. That was one of the greatest defenses ever. You had Randall Cunningham, one of the most exciting quarterbacks in NFL history, leading the helm. Eagles were always a top market team, and people always talked about them during the era. But here was one of the big kickers. They made the playoffs 3 times during that tenure. And in those 3 times, it was wild card exit in the Fog Bowl, which some people will say the fog, will partially blame the fog. And you can, but you can also partially blame the Eagles for falling behind in the first half. Then also there was a loss to the Rams and a loss to the now Commanders. 3 back-to-back seasons done in the wild card, despite having one of the most exciting quarterbacks of his era. Now, Randall himself didn't play great in the playoffs, too, so that partially falls on him. And you had one of the greatest defenses, but they couldn't find a way to win when it mattered most in the playoffs. And when you look at Buddy Ryan, you remember the year of the replacement players. There's stories that he dogged in on those replacement players, talked to them like there was nothing, treated them like trash, which ultimately hurt the team's chances of winning games and possibly being in playoff contention by the time you had Reggie, Randall, and company back. So you can partially blame that on Buddy Ryan himself. And then when you look at his second stint in the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals, he didn't have the same talent around him. He had an 8-win season and a 4-win season, and that was it with him as a head coach. Now, don't get me wrong, Buddy Ryan, one of the greatest defensive leaders of all time. He played a role in that Jets D-line Super Bowl III, the Bears Super Bowl 20 victory as the defensive coordinator. That Eagles defense was always great with him under the helm. One of the greatest defensive minds as a coach in NFL history. But as a head coach, he underachieved when you look back on with what he had with the Eagles. He drastically underachieved. So I got to say, with all due respect to the late Buddy Ryan, RIP, but he's one of the more overrated coaches, especially for the Eagles.